Thank you. Well, good morning, y'all. Hope you guys are bundled up today because it's in the 40s and it's quite cold out there. But beautiful and sunny, so that's a blessing. Hopefully, you guys had a great weekend. Yesterday was Chinese New Year.
It was Chinese New Year yesterday.
Or at the beginning of Chinese New Year.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a second. Before we talk about that, though, well, by the way,
Chinese talk about Chinese.
Yeah. This is so this is the real estate backstory. We do this every Monday morning. We appreciate you guys joining us. So I hope you guys are ready for a good week. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here.
My name is Ming Richardson. I'm the compliance broker for Maximum One Realtor and Realty Partners.
And I might kind of start off maybe with a negative. I don't know. We got a call from one of our clients this past week who they've moved away. They don't live here anymore. And they're like, man, I can't get agents that will return my phone calls. I've called like 6 different agents and no one answers their phone and no one returns their phone calls. And at the same time, I got a call from an agent about one of our company's listings, and it didn't go. We're just going to say it didn't go real well. And so I kind of wanted to start off kind of on a soapbox this morning and say, listen, old school manners matter. I can't say it, but I mean it.
Old school manners still matter, y'all.
It does. Okay. It does. So like our job, there's probably one of the biggest pieces is communication. We have got to be great communicators. It's essential that we do it. So with our clients, let your clients choose how you communicate. If they text you, text them back. If they call you, call them back. Don't force them to do one, if they're comfortable in email, Zooming, things like that.
A lot of time when I have a initial conversation, I do tell my client, this is how I like to communicate. Does this work for you? If not, tell me how you would like to be reached.
Cool. And I can promise you one of the biggest ways that Ming built her business over the years, guess what the number one thing she did?
Answer
the stupid phone. Right. We've been standing in the office and an agent will be complaining about someone not answering their phone. Their phone rings. They take it and look at it. And then they're like, oh, I don't know that number. And then they push them over on voicemail. I'm like, that's the problem. Right. So the other thing is set up your voicemail, like set up a professional voicemail. It takes like 2 seconds. We go ahead and set up your voicemail. Any kind of appointments you have, confirm those appointments. And if you do make mistakes, if you do things, like own it, right?
I have.
Yeah, we've all had to do that. Now on social, we need to make sure that we have good social manners as well. And so if you get, IMs or any kind of messages online, make sure you answer those promptly as well. Be professional on there. That's not the place to go and be bashing other people or getting into arguments online. That like if you're using social for business, that's just dumb. But the other thing you want to do is make sure that
when you say social for business on a personal page.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are using a business page for business, you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Now you did start off by talking about the Chinese New Year. And so I wanted to kind of share with everybody kind of like what's up about Chinese New Year. So Chinese New Year officially started yesterday. It normally, officially it lasts for like 16 days, but realistically it's a week long. It lasts for a week. And so during this week, it's a very big, it's about a lot of family time. And of course there's fireworks, like more fireworks are lit off on Chinese New Year than any other day of the year kind of thing. This year is the year of the rabbit. And so there's a different zodiac sign that kind of goes with every single year. By the way, whatever zodiac sign you were born under, that's your unlucky year. So if you were born in the year of the rabbit,
every 12 years.
Yeah, so if you're 12, 24, 36, whatever, that kind of stuff, it's not going to be a good year for you. I'm just kidding. Be ready to embrace different cultures, that kind of thing. So.
Well, the most thing I remember about Chinese New Year is fabulous food. And of course, the parents will give the children a red envelope, which contained money.
Money.
So that was we always look forward to my parents, friends coming over and give us the red envelope. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So let's keep breathing. Yeah, stroke of that cash. All right. So Zillow released their predictions for the hottest real estate markets for 2023. And so we came in the top 10. We came in actually at number 9. We've been talking about this for quite a while now about how Atlanta is going to buck the trend, especially in Georgia, is going to really be bucking the trend. And if you'll look at like where the hottest real estate markets for 2023, according to Zillow, guess where they're all at? In the South, kind of thing. So South is really kind of heavily represented. Matter of fact, if you look at like what are the hottest property markets according to the National Association of Realtors, according to NAR, guess who's the number 1 property market in the U.S.?
Hotlanta.
Zillow, like I said, we come in number 9. Now, Realtor.com, it's all over the place. The South is still heavily represented, but you can see that the Sun Belt is heavily, whether you're looking at NAR or Zillow, here in the South, we're poised to be in a very good position moving into 2023. Or moving farther. I mean, we're in 2023, obviously, but moving farther into 2023 kind of thing. I'm feeling very comfortable and confident about that.
NAR did their poll based on certain criteria, which is affordability, job growth, population growth, less severe undersupply, where Zillow does expected price growth, increase in homeownership, job growth versus construction, and Realtor.com, of course, did theirs expect price growth, expected sale growth, affordability. So that's why the locations are different.
Everybody's got their own criteria, but either way, we're still in really good. I just want you to feel very confident and comfortable about where we're at in the market right now. So interest rates came in again lower. We're continuing to see it tick, 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 continuing to work its way down. That's really what we need to see. It's really what we want to see. And we find that to be very, very encouraging. At the same time, mortgage applications went up. And I don't mean they went up a little bit. Mortgage applications went up 28%. All right. Last week, I mean, like that's huge, a massive jump in on there. Now, that being said, it's still down, but compared to where it's been, like we started off this year. I know that the transaction counts and for the brokerage and things like that. Like if you're not out hustling right now, every day I'm hustling, then it's on you. I'm just being straight up. So I hate to break that to you. Now, at the same time, the average FICO score in the U.S. is 716, which is a really strong number. And we're really glad to see that. The financial credit of our clients is crucial to our success. So that's a really good thing. Right now, nearly half of Americans have a credit score of 750 or higher. All right. And so that's a big jump from just 10 years ago kind of thing. And so, we see that as another very healthy sign for real estate is that Americans are taking their credit scores really, really important or really, really seriously. Now, all that being said, at the same time, there's been, I think it was Zillow actually went out and they asked some borrowers and they asked some interesting questions. So first one was which of these things does not typically impact your credit score? Only 2/3 of the folks could say the amount of money you have invested in the stock market doesn't impact it. When buying a house, your credit is monitored can affect your mortgage up until only 47% have said the day of closing. Look, the mortgage companies will check your credit and they'll check your employment the day of closing sometimes.
It's called VOE, verification on employment, the day of it. We actually had a contract fell through the day of closing because the lady was furloughed from her job.
So how long should you wait until after buying a car to buy a house? 6 months. Only 41%. We've actually had, we've had deals die because they're like, hey, we just buy a new car. It's going to look great in that garage. Like, no, it's not. It's not going to look great in that garage at all. You're not going to be in the garage. Right. Yeah.
But not before.
Yep. How high does your credit score need to be? Only 32% of folks said that they need to have a 620. Now, 620 is a minimum that they need. I mean, you might be able to find some 580s out there, but generally speaking, if you're going to be anything under a 620, they're going to be paying really higher interest rates. And to get a really great rate, you need to be over 750. The best rate you're going to get is if you're in that group over 800 kind of thing. The most important piece of your credit score from least to most important, Number one is payment history, amount of credit, and then length. Only 25% of folks answered that correctly.
Show the slide, just to let you know what the misconception or misnomer of people think of what credit does and how credit impact them.
Well, let's get it. How do you get your score over 800? Because if you get in, or if your clients get into that 800 range, that's where you're getting the best. You're getting the absolute best rates. You're going to have, I mean, you're going to be in really good shape. But a lot of times, while we're not trying to be the mortgage people, we are a lot of times put in a position of advisor, counselor, being able to speak intelligently about this.
Sometimes the borrower won't talk to you because they know what their credit score is, and they feel ashamed or afraid to tell you that you would think.
But sometimes they have no idea. Some of these just think it's bad. They haven't even checked. But how you're going to get your credit score up over 800? So first thing is pay your bills on time. That's not really like rocket science here. Okay. On time payments account for, 35 to 40% of your credit scores is wrapped up in on time payments. 100% of borrowers with a credit score over 800 pay their bills on time every time. That is the big.
Y'all have bill pay. If not, you can set up auto pay with your credit card. That will ensure that you always pay it on time.
How much do you owe? You should only your clients should about 30% of their available credit. And that's why folks say don't close credit cards, and don't do that, because
when you close credit card, actually has a negative impact on your credit score.
Because they say you have less credit.
Well, what it is what they call longevity of a trade line. So if you have no longevity of a trade line, then you're not
That's number 3.
Sorry.
Credit history. Keep that open. Go ahead, I'll let you finish. You know much more than me, honestly.
So when you keep that credit open, it shows that over time you have made payments throughout your how many years you have with that credit card, and therefore that you're a good risk factor.
Yep. And then the last one is the type of accounts. They like to see a mix of different types of loans. So one is a mix of installment loans, auto loans, for example, mortgages, and then revolving credit cards. So when you can have a mixture of those kind of things, but how many trade lines do you need?
Minimum 2, I believe.
Yeah. So 2 to 3 on there. So, again, we're not trying to take the place of our lenders by any means, but this is just general knowledge. It's a really great information to share with your clients. So, last month, NAR just released this information, which showed that December sales were still down under month over month last month. However, it was our smallest decrease, and we're only down 1.5%. And so where we've been running much higher numbers, that's actually pretty positive to see how we're looking moving forward on that. Now, overall, our median sales prices is on nationwide is still up about 1% year over year. Now, here in Georgia, we're seeing much higher numbers than that.
About 2, a little over 2 right now.
Somewhere around 4, actually. So median asking price is about 4% up. So we're seeing a difference between asking to sale price of around 3% swing in there. Pending sales are down 29%. Now, this is bad. I don't think pending sales are, part of this is seasonal, but the 29% actually is an improvement. We have been running for the last several months. We've been running in the 30s. And so pending sales, we're starting to see
we're seeing a little more inventory, honestly. And while the inventory is not where it needs to be, we are starting to see some more inventory.
Well, let's look at that.
Okay.
All right. So now, while we are starting to see some new inventory, new listings of homes is down 20%. And, as far as so this is in the Atlanta area. So nationwide, new listings of homes down 20%. In Atlanta, we're down 36% in new listings. So we are seeing some inventory, because overall total active inventory is up about 22%. But we need more houses. But we're looking at, as interest rates soften, inventory is going to increase. We will see the correlation between those two.
Absolutely.
30% of our pending contracts, basically a third of our contracts are under contract within 2 weeks. So that's your benchmark. If you're not under contract in 2 weeks, gosh, what could it be, Ming?
Price.
Always. Okay. And I hate to break it to you.
Well, the pricing is based on not just pricing alone, but the condition of property.
Yeah. Given that you've marketed it properly.
Correct.
So still about 20%, 21% of our homes are selling above final list price. So we still have, 1 out of 5 are still selling for
Okay.
over asking.
All right, so that don't be misconceived, because what happened is some seller are getting smart. They're not listing the property right at fair market value. They're listing just slightly below, and therefore they're getting
Creating excitement.
above, right?
Yep.
Creating that excitement, getting above the list price.
Yep. Price drops. So we have seen where the number of price reductions has drastically decreased. That's because it was, almost double digits at one
Mhm.
point, kind of thing. And so we're seeing where, and some of it's seasonal in there, but the other thing that we're seeing is right now, total concessions being given by our clients is running about 42%. So just a little bit less than half of all sales have some concessions. About 22% have concessions and sold below asking. Another 19% had concessions and a price drop, and 11% had concessions, price drop, and sold below asking. So it's one of those that if you don't put your house out there at the right price in the beginning, then you may have to take it. Yeah.
And condition,
Yeah.
that is important now with buyers. No longer are they taking it as is. They are asking for repairs, and they're asking for there's certain expectation with that purchase price now.
Now, we got the rents. So this is what's happened to the rents over the last, we're going on about 7 months of rental decreases, and we're actually glad to see that. Not that I want people to not buy and stay in rental, but we know that there's a lot of pent-up demand in the rental market. People want to buy, and it's super hard to save. Like being able to save when the rents are going really high has made that a very, very difficult position for a lot of our folks, because like in December was the first time that we've seen a bump in first-time home ownership. We had been running 28, 29, 30%. We're at 30. December was 31% first-time buyers, and guess where our first-time buyers are? Bam, right here. They're renting. Whoops, I go the right way. So the home builders are continuing to slow down right now. Housing starts further slowed in December. And so right now we are on a path to probably have some of our slowest home
building season
ever.
Right.
At the same time, we've got a huge millennial population moving in. So, this is one of those things that's continuing to keep our inventory super tight.
If you ever drive around your neighborhood or area, you'll notice there's probably more condo and also townhomes being developed.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why they're doing that is because that's what's affordable for builder to sell at this point, and also meet demands.
But we got to make sure that when it comes to townhomes, that we aren't the ones getting in the way. We've had some conversations with realtors lately, and talking about how many new, like we got about 900 townhomes under construction here in Henry County right now, for example, and we're seeing it all over. And some of the comments like, "Ooh, townhomes." And
some are
look,
really
that's our
pretty,
first time buyer home right now. Like back in the day, our first time was at 3-1 Ranch,
in 1960.
Yeah. So we are dating ourselves a little bit, but like that 3-1, 3-1.5, 3-2 Ranch, that's just not a viable product out there for most of our first time buyers. However, those the entry level townhomes, I know that there's also a tie-in townhomes. I'm not knocking it,
and you will see a change of movement and culture in reference to first time home buyers. So be ready and just educate your client about the pros and cons.
So at the same time, the builder confidence just rose. So you can kind of see what builder confidence has been doing for the past year. And so in January, it just ticked up. And so the builders are feeling as confident, I think, as Ming and I are on that. And so we think that's a really good thing. Now, speaking of builders, one other thing that's happening right now is the National Association of Home Builders, NAR, about another dozen or so groups are all filing a federal lawsuit against the EPA new waters of the U.S. rule kind of thing. The challenge is that, and not that no one, like clean water is essential, it's vital, but they're going, the new rule applies to like storm drains and places that that aren't normally wetlands, and like ponds on people's personal property and things like that.
They're stepping into personal property at this time. Instead of protecting the large mass of body of water, they're now going after ponds and ditches and erosion features that only carry flow of major rainfall. So that's a little overreach when you're talking about ponds and stuff like that. Granted, we do want to protect. Every homeowner wants to protect their land and make sure there's no erosion. But when you overstep and make it a require certain things, it becomes a burdensome hardship for some of those folks.
And one of the big deals, or one of the reasons why this is a big deal for home building, is already about something, somewhere around 20% of your home building costs are tied up in government regs
on the land
and
development
and that kind of thing. So like a big piece of that, somewhere between, depending on the location, between 20 and 30% of that home purchase price is wrapped up in the government. So
if you look at it on your larger developments, most of them have what they call retention pond, and they're required to do that just in case there's a hard rainfall that comes through. The water's got to go somewhere. So
all right. So NAR just released the top claim, the top lawsuit against agent, and that is failure to disclose. And we need to be very careful of this, because like here in Georgia, it is highly recommended, almost to the point of insisting, that our sellers do complete a property disclosure. However, it is not required here. And so that being said, some things that we have to do to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. First of all, never, ever fill out the property disclosure for the seller. Never. Don't do it. That's dumb. Okay.
Even if you're the next door neighbor, been friends with
how much
time, you don't do that.
This is theirs. So you can assist them with it, but don't do it for them. Please. It's so important.
And I have a lot of agents ask me, so I have a lot of investors that really don't know what what's going on with this property. I get it all day. The fact is, there's a sheet that say latent defects. As long as they truly don't know about latent defects, guess what? The buyer can come back and sue them for it later. It's actually a protection for your seller versus
just leaving it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then if the buyer can prove there's no reason why the seller wouldn't know about this latent defect, then guess what? They just open themselves to a lawsuit.
Well, in a recent study, they said that, nearly 60% of sellers didn't disclose everything.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we are encouraging our sellers to disclose everything. And if your seller says, hey, this is going on, but let's not tell anybody, guess what? That's where you're going to get nailed to the wall. Okay. So you have to disclose the same as the seller was. You have to disclose any hidden latent defects that you are aware of, kind of thing. So, make sure you review the seller's disclosure form with them. If you see anything, or if you know anything, ask them about it, that kind of stuff. If the seller refuses to, you still have to. Okay. You are required to.
As a realtor,
real estate agent. Yeah. Is that a tricky place to be? You better believe it is. But like you can lose your license, you can get your butt sued off for this too, kind of thing. So in that case, document. But we have to make sure that we're protecting our clients, but also protecting ourselves here. It really is important.
I'm sorry, not every client is worthwhile to client. If a client gonna cost you your license, then walk away.
Well, if they're going to ask you to do anything unethical, that's no one I want to do business with. And
that one transaction is not gonna make you.
And it ain't going to be worth it. Right.
It's gonna break you.
All right. Well, then let's talk about training this week. So Tuesday, tomorrow, my lovely bride, she's going to be tweeting. Yeah, tweeting. She's a great tweeter. You will love her. But she's teaching 2023 guard contract changes in the Fayetteville office. At the same time, I'll be presenting at the joint Fayetteville Noonan Coweta Board of Realtors. I'm going to be talking about RPR there on Wednesday. I'll be teaching business planning.
Year, then exactly where you got to go to hit your target.
Yeah, so I'll be with the Women's Council of Realtors at the DeKalb Associated Realtors, and that one I think they charge $20 on that class. And then Thursday, Georgia MLS, an introduction to transaction desk. That's going to be here in our McDonough office.
Learn it, y'all, especially for those of you who has never touched or understand transaction desk. It can save you so much time.
Well, if we can be of any kind of service, please call, text, smoke signals. We hope you guys have a wonderful and incredibly productive week.
Happy
Love y'all.
Monday.
Bye.
Thank you.